Hey rail fans, this is Joe in the Broadway Limited Import Service Department, and today's how-to video is going to cover general maintenance for your diesel locomotive. So whether it's an SD40-2 like this guy, or a C30-7, an AC6000, etc., all of our large diesels, the shell comes off the same way, which is to remove the couplers on each end, and we recommend using a magnetic tip screwdriver. There are no other screws to remove to get the shell off. You just need to remove the couplers. As you can see, we've got one here and one here. Once these come out, we're going to want to hold the engine upside down by the fuel tank, right here, and hold it over something soft like a pillow. You're going to push on the shell just under the steps on each end of the engine, alternating end to end. It might feel like nothing's happening at first, but if you keep putting pressure under the walkways and alternating end to end, eventually it'll just come right off, like so. And that's why the pillow's there. So now that we've got the shell off, let's take a look at how we might lubricate the gearing in this diesel. Right here on the worm gear cap, we have a small spot where you can put a drop or two of lubricating grease or oil. We recommend, if you're going to use a grease, use a lithium grease or a food grade grease, something that's not going to eat up the plastic gears. These are pre-lubed from the factory, and it's not something you need to worry about very often. But if you hear the gears making some noise in there, or if you've got a lot of runtime, a lot of hours on your engine, just add a drop or two to each truck and you'll be good to go for a while. And coincidentally, if you wanted to drop the trucks and disassemble, remove the side frames, replace the wheel sets for some reason, that worm gear cap is going to free everything up. If you remove that worm gear cap, then you'll be able to drop the trucks and disassemble. So while we've got the shell off, we'll do a quick hardware reset. We've got a couple of other videos with steam engines showing it done in DC, so here with this diesel, we'll do it in DCC. Here's the blue capacitor, and here's our hardware reset button on the opposite end. Now what you want to do is place the engine on the rails, and in DCC, as you can see, the lights are on and the throttle is on, and that's a no-no. In DCC, even if the throttle says 0, the rails are still getting power, as evidenced by the lights being on. So what you want to do is remove power from the rails. This means shutting down your DCC system. Make sure your throttle looks like this, completely dead. Now this guy is reset button. It's going to be hard to get in there with your finger. So we recommend you use something made out of plastic or wood to push that button down. And once you push it down, you want to hold it down and then apply power to the rails, or turn on your DCC system while you're holding that button down. So now I've got my button held down and power is applied. DCC system on. And there's our audible confirmation. That sound is letting you know that the reset was successful and you're at factory default settings and DCC address 3. When the system comes back online, power gets applied and you'll get that coupler clank sound. But it's important you hold that button down until the reset has taken place. Another way to do it is to lift one side of the engine off the rails and hold the button down. And while you're holding the button down, place all wheel sets back on the rails. And again, notice my throttle's at 0, but we still have power. So some folks have a toggle switch and it's easier for them to power down the system while holding the reset button down on the decoder. And for others, it's easier to lift one side off the rails while holding the button down. But the important thing to remember is power has to be removed from the rails and the button needs to be held down while power is reapplied. So after the hardware reset, you'll be at factory default settings, DCC address 3. And this is a great place to start for an unresponsive engine or if you're unsure of your DCC address. There's your LED. You can see that's where the ditch lights go. So I know my shell's going on the right way. And I'm just going to put a little pressure there, a little bit of pressure there. And it's just like what we did in the beginning, only in reverse. Just alternating the ends. I'm going to put the coupler back on here, like so. Spin it around. And we'll get this coupler on here. And now it's time to get her on the rails and go out there and move some cars and have some fun.